The Genesis Revelation. Raji sat in the living room, ranting loudly about his latest theory, the one that had already failed miserably. "I'm telling you, Mikey," Raji declared, waving his hands. "Everybody is cousins. The connections never end." Mikey sighed, munching on his chips. "Bro, you already got roasted for this theory before." Raji ignored him, dramatically standing on the couch. "We are all connected through history. If you go back far enough, our ancestors probably had dinner together." Mikey smirked. "Yeah. No." But before Raji could continue, Dad entered the room, holding a Bible. Dad sighed, sitting down. "Raji, do you know what you really need to read?" Raji blinked. My exam study guide?" Dad shook his head. "No. Genesis." Raji frowned. "Wait. What?" Dad opened the Bible, flipping to Genesis 1, and handed it to Raji. "Instead of your weird cousin theory, try reading about how we are actually God's children." Mikey grinned. "Oh, Dad just hit you with truth." Raji sighed, looking at the page. "Fine. I'll read it. But I'm still saying everybody is cousins." And so began Raji's reluctant journey through Genesis. Raji cleared his throat, standing in front of the whole family, holding the Bible dramatically. Dad sat on the couch, arms crossed, waiting for him to learn something meaningful. Mikey lounged on the floor, munching on chips. "All right, genius. Let's hear it." Raji squinted at Genesis chapter 1, then began reading aloud in the most dramatic voice possible. "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Mikey nodded. Classic opening. Raji continued. "The earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters." Mom smiled. "Beautiful." But Raji wasn't taking it seriously at all. Instead, he dramatically waved his hands, adding random effects to his voice. "And then God said, 'Let there be light.'" Raji shouted, throwing his arms up. Dad sighed. "Raji, read normally." Mikey wheeled away laughing. "Bro, you sound like you're announcing a dramatic movie trailer." Raji ignored them, continuing with exaggerated expressions. "And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness." Dad rubbed his temples. "I regret making him do this." Mikey grinned. "No, this is the best decision ever." Raji spun around, reading even louder. "So God created mankind in his own image, in the image of God he created them, male and female he created them." Then, he dramatically slammed the Bible shut. "And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we are all children of God." Silence. Mom smiled, clapping softly. "That was energetic." Dad sighed. "You missed the point entirely." Mikey collapsed laughing. "Dude, that was so ridiculous." Raji grinned. "But I proved something." Dad raised an eyebrow. "And what's that?" Raji smirked. "We're all God's children. And cousins." Mikey wheeled away in absolute laughter. "You did not just combine both theories." Dad sighed deeply. "This is the worst theological discussion ever." And just like that, Raji learned something, but also refused to change his mind. Final score: Bible Truth 1, Raji's ridiculous theory, unstoppable. After dramatically reading Genesis like a movie trailer, Raji sat at the kitchen table, flipping through more pages in the Bible. Mikey leaned over, smirking. Bro, you actually reading, or just looking for more reasons to combine theology with nonsense? Raji scoffed. I'm studying, thank you very much. Dad sat down, raising an eyebrow. So what have you learned so far? Raji grinned, holding up the Bible in one hand and a science textbook in the other. I have discovered the ultimate battle: religion versus science. Mikey groaned. Oh dear God. Dad sighed. All right. Explain yourself. Raji nodded dramatically. Both tell different versions of creation, right? Dad nodded slowly. Yes. Genesis describes creation through God's power, while science focuses on evolution and natural processes. Raji smirked. But what if they are actually connected? Mikey collapsed onto the couch. Bro, no, you are not about to create another insane theory. Raji ignored him, flipping through the books rapidly. Raji's wild connection theory. Raji placed both books side by side. Alright, check this out. Genesis says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Dad nodded. Yes. Raji then pointed at his science book. Meanwhile, science says, the universe began with the Big Bang. Mikey stared at him. Okay. And? Raji grinned. What if the Big Bang was actually God creating everything? What if both are describing the same event in different ways? Dad smirked slightly. Interesting perspective. Mikey raised an eyebrow. Wait. Did Raji actually say something smart? Raji nodded proudly. Obviously. But then he kept going. And ruined it immediately. Raji takes it too far. Raji flipped more pages, searching for more connections. Genesis says God created animals. Science talks about evolution, Raji explained. What if evolution was just God's way of shaping life over time? Dad nodded. Some people do believe that. Mikey blinked. Okay, hold up. You might actually be onto something. But then Raji took his theory to the power of 9,000. And that means everyone is still cousins. Mikey collapsed onto the floor laughing. No. You were so close to sounding smart. Dad sighed deeply. And there it is. The ruined argument. Raji smirked. Hey, at least I'm thinking outside the box. Mikey wiped away tears of laughter. More like thinking outside reality. The resolution. After hours of wild debate, Dad shook his head. Look, Raji. It's okay to compare different perspectives. Just don't make them ridiculous. Mom smiled. It's good that you're asking questions. Mikey leaned back. Yeah, but maybe next time, try not to force your cousin theory into everything. Raji grinned. Never. And just like that, Raji learned a little. But refused to give up his insanity. Final score: religion and science, tied. Raji's nonsense, undeniable.